VH1’s, man.
Yo, what's up, world? It's your boy Jay Smiley, and welcome back to the EYMF podcast, powered by the EYMF Enterprise. And before I get started, y'all know I got to shout out the best podcast team in the podcast world. Y'all, this is season three. We bringing y'all into kickoff season three. What better way than to have one of the most famous reality stars that we know, right? So, without further ado,
Yes.
I'm very happy to introduce our next guest. This young lady, you have seen her all over your TV, with the one and only Favor Flav. You've also seen her in Charm School with Monique, as she was one of the most outstanding contestants on the show, and y'all all remember her. But more to it, y'all. She's also doing her thing outside of that, y'all. As she has her own business on this Poshly Savage Beauty, and she's also starring in a movie as y'all. But without further ado, world, I want to introduce the one and only Larissa Bootz Hodge, y'all. Welcome to the show. Welcome to
Ooh,
the show. Thank you for joining us.
ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, ooh.
That boy getting better and better. I see
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Out
Look, I had
here
to go
been
put
working.
my little turtleneck on for Larissa and everything. So, I had to make sure I was together. But thank you for joining us, Larissa. How are you feeling? How you doing? How the vibes? How's everything going?
I feel like everything's good except for I don't know if you guys saw me post today about my kids' school. So there was some issues that I had put out there today. So
Mm.
that has been bothering me. This actually happened a year ago, so it's been bothering me for a year. And I was debating if I should say anything or not. So I ended up going ahead and doing it because for it to be a whole year and it bothering me in my spirit, I felt like it would be beneficial for that because I'm a bold person. And sometimes other parents and people aren't as bold as I am. So I felt like that was just me or God letting me know, you need to just go on and say something.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. it's one way that's the only way to get something done. You gotta say something.
Mhm.
Well, no work be
Exactly.
done if it's
Exactly.
not gonna be said.
Would you mind walking us? Would you mind walking us through exactly what took place, if you wouldn't mind?
Sure. So I had did a YouTube video, but this is how I'd never posted it. But this is how everything started. You know how you go to open house. I don't know if you guys have kids, but you go to open house,
Hmm.
to see how your child's doing. And it's ironic because it was the same day that I actually opened Poshly Savage online. So I was all happy, and of course, here come the devil. Go
Mm.
to open house, all excited that I just opened my store, because that was the grand opening that morning. I get to the school. Now, remind you guys, my kids, it's a charter school, so they
Okay.
had to be picked to get in this school.
Right.
So only two of my kids were picked because my other son goes to a magnet school, and I really, really like that school for him. It's all about technology, and it teaches them, about technology and things like that. So you have to be picked for that as well. But he loves his school, so it was only my oldest daughter and my youngest son because it's like K through eighth grade. But
Oh,
anywho, she was an eighth grader. My son, I think, was kindergarten, and they were only there for 2 weeks. So all of this went down in 2 weeks. I don't play about my kids.
as
One
you
thing,
should.
yeah, one thing that bothers me is I have a feeling they Googled me, and I think that is the reason why they tried me because they knew. Because I feel like they knew, well, if we could bully her and do whatever because she's online and she goes off on people and she does this and that. I'm not oblivious to that. I see the game that they were playing, and for my kids to only be there 2 weeks, I didn't even know the principal's name, but for some reason, when all of this went down, she knew her energy just showed me, where is this coming from? I don't even know you. You get what I mean?
Right, right.
Hmm.
Make a long story short, I go to open house. All of the teachers are white but one. I get to the last teacher, which was an African American guy. I forgot his name, but I think it was Sean Dotery. I think, I'm not sure, but he was really nice. And my daughter didn't say anything to me. My daughter is really tough. She never cries. So when I get in his class, I'm like, okay, this is the last class, I'm ready to go home. And he ends up telling me how he was concerned for my daughter. And I says, concerned about what? So he was the one who ended up letting me know my daughter had been crying. Like she'll run in his class because I guess the other lady's class was before his. And she would run in there crying her eyes out. And that's very unusual for my daughter to do that. Now, I remind you guys, I had just left the ladies' class, Miss Martin's, Michelle Martin's. And I asked her how my daughter was doing. She never mentioned anything to me. She said everything is fine, all that fake stuff. So I didn't know anything until this teacher told me, who actually cared for my daughter. I had no clue she was crying every day, running in his room. He said she literally would push other kids out the way and get in the desk and just cry. And that's very unusual for my daughter. She is like very strong. Like it's crazy because I feel like she's stronger than my boys. Like she does not cry. So I just feel like she doesn't show emotion like that. So for her to do that, showed me
something got to be really bothering her.
Right. And so I asked the teacher, well, what is it that you're concerned with? He said, she says the teacher's yelling at her. And one thing about me, I'm like yelling at her. So I look at my daughter, just bust out in tears. Like she just starts crying. Knowing like, I guess she was holding it in, didn't want me. My daughter doesn't want me to get into it with anyone. She just feels like, oh, I'm just not going to say anything. And I told her, but you need to tell me these things. That's mental abuse. And one thing I don't like about certain people of other colors and how they treat us is we could talk about you, we could do things to your kids. The moment you say something or do something, we're going to act like you were the sole one, you were aggressive, you were elevated. And before I continue, there is a law in Nevada where like if you go in there, any school, any library, you can get trespassed. So they could easily say if you're loud, if you're cussing, if you're doing anything to get trespassed. I never got trespassed. They never called the cops on me. So that's a big point to remember, because I know people on social media probably will say, oh, she cusses people out, she does this and that. I know how to act when it comes to my kids. I know how to act when I'm at a school because I know the games that they play. They're waiting for you to cuss them out. They're waiting for you to do those type of things. So I purposely played the game with them and they didn't like that. So in the midst of what happened, when the teacher told me that, I said, well, I'm going to go back to that lady's class and I'm going to ask her why you did not bring me up to speed on what was going on or what was happening. Because one thing we know about kids, it's always somebody else's version. So I always like to see both point of views and go from there. So I just wanted to speak to her. I walk into the hallway. This lady, Kelly Miller, yeah, that's her name, Kelly Miller. She comes in the hallway and just talking all fast. You could tell she don't even care. She's like, oh, everybody has to go. I said, no, I'm not going nowhere. I said, there's an issue with my daughter and I'm going over there to the classroom. So then she goes, oh, we could just have her in a meeting tomorrow. Like she's all talking fast, not even caring. I said, okay, well, then we need to set up a meeting with me, my daughter, the teacher, and maybe yourself or the principal. So she's like, they have different principals for different grades. So I guess she is assistant principal or something like that. I forgot her actual title. But I told her, or the main principal, we can all sit down. She goes and tells me, no, you don't need to be in the meeting with her. Remind you guys, I have 3 kids. Like, I ain't never had a school tell me I don't need to be in a meeting. And I said, what do you mean I'm not going to be in a meeting? You don't tell me what meeting I'm going to be in. If you're going to be with my daughter and there's already an issue, I feel like that's a red flag right there, that you don't even want me in a meeting. I said, you're not going to bully my daughter. You're not going to say no crazy stuff to her. Because now I'm feeling like you want some other stuff. You want to say something or put something in her ear. I'm not done. So after that, she played the white card. Oh, stop yelling at me. I said, ain't nobody yelling at you. I said, get out of my face. Get out of my face before it be a problem. So she's like, and she's all smirking. And then she goes and tells my kids, like, she starts following us down the hall because I'm leaving. I know where it could go. I'm walking out trying to find this principal, because I know the games that they like to play. So Kelly, she's like, well, the reason you don't need to be in the room or in the meeting is because your daughter is almost a grown adult. That was her excuse. I said, my daughter's an 8th grader. She is not an adult. Where did you get that from? That doesn't even make any sense. I've never had a school tell me I can't have a meeting. This is what you should do. Now, this is before I read their school policy. They have a grievance policy you go through, before you hit the board, because it's a charter school. So once I looked at it, it was exactly what I told her to do, to contact the person you have the issue with. If that doesn't work, you go to the principal and then you go to the board.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that at this time. But that's just what I suggested, wanting to hear all sides. And then I was met with this. So I'm walking down the hall with my kids. She's harassing me and my kids, walking, following us. I see a pregnant lady who was a teacher because I guess they were having a teacher meeting. They were all going through one door. She yells at the lady and says, "Don't talk to her," talking about me because I was asking her where the principal was. So now I'm seeing, oh, you trying to get me hyped. You trying to get me to do something or say something. Because why are you worried about what I'm asking her where the principal is? Why are you even following me? You're harassing me at this point. So I go to the front office. I see the principal. Now I've spoken to her before. So I didn't, like I said, I don't know this lady. I just registered my kids, in the school, all of that. I go to the front and I'm telling her, I said, "Hi, I wanted to see if I could set up a meeting because there was an altercation today." She immediately goes, "Oh, you have a problem with everybody."
Oh, man.
Yeah. So let me have said that, I would have been just this loud black woman. You know what I mean? If I was to get loud. So I said, "What are you talking about? I don't even know you." I said, "So you talking about me to your staff?" I just checked her straight up. I said, "So you talking about me? Huh, Shannon?" That's her name. Shannon Fanning. That's when it dawned on me. Y'all Google me. Are you playing with me? Because you as a principal, why would that be the first statement out of your mouth?
Literally.
Even if y'all Google me, you should have played the game if she was smart, and she should have said, you could talk about me all you want to, but what you're not going to do is sit there and do that in my face and say no crazy stuff." So then she starts throwing allegations out there saying, "Oh, well, somebody in the parking lot said you were yelling, you were doing this." That, I don't know if you guys saw the slide with the guy Rob, when I said he yells at the parents and the students, and he had yelled at me that day.
Yeah,
so I put two and two together. No, Rob went and told you that I yelled at him. Yes, I did. But what he forgot to tell you was he came up to my car, was yelling and screaming like he wanted to do something, and I checked him and let him know that ain't about to happen. So he got mad because he got checked, and he went to the principal. And I said, "And why are you taking," I said, "if there was an issue and he told you this, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you set up a meeting with me? Why are you assuming things? Why are you doing all of that?" Then she goes, "Oh, stop yelling at me." Plays the game Kelly Miller did. I said, "No one's yelling at you. I'm giving you the same energy you gave me." I said, "Stop yelling at me."
Like, why is that even the topic of anything? It should be, how can I help you? What's going on?
Exactly. So, make a long story short, I stood there. Like I said, never once did she say you're trespassed because I didn't cuss at her and I didn't yell at her. That's why, make a long story short, at the end of it, they tried to say I was elevated, but we'll get there. They didn't want to say yell because they know I could sue them. I didn't yell at you. So y'all want to use certain words, but we could play this game all day. You're not going to play with my child. And like you said, the main focus for a principal, any staff, should be the child. You should not be concentrating on a control mechanism of, let's control the mom and how she talks. That's how I felt. So, because like you said, what are you talking about? And any other things that you had an issue with, we could sit down and we could talk about it with these people. And that's what I told her. You could bring anybody you want to. We could all sit down. I bet you their story ain't gonna be the same. Y'all sitting up in here gossiping about me. I said, "So let's go on and set the meeting up. What's your problem?" "Oh, stop. I will not have nobody talking to me like that." I said, "I won't have nobody talking to me like that. Do your job. Do your job and stop playing games." So she ended up going around the desk with an attitude, looking dumb. And they have cameras in there. So she went around her little desk trying to hurry up and write her little thing. And by the way, all the teachers and people are standing there that work there. I didn't care because I ain't doing nothing wrong. If I asked you something, you should, like you said, she should have just said, "You know what? Let's set up a meeting. Da, 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 da." Why are we arguing about some stuff you didn't heard from somebody else that you never addressed to me? You know what I'm saying?
That isn't even the issue at hand.
Exactly. But that's how I knew this came from a place of y'all was already talking. Y'all probably Googled me. Then y'all like, "Oh, look at her." You know that's what they do. So anywho, after that, there was a lady, Miss Corona. I forgot her first name. Put her on the slide too. She tried to come and say, "Oh, come over here, trying to act like the principal was out of line. She switched up, later on because she was like, "If you don't want to talk to her," because I said I don't want to talk to her. I said, "So can I email you?" She was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, she could have handled it better." But then she changed her, tune when the board came into play, and they probably did something, threatened her. Who knows? "Oh, you need to be on our side." They be doing stuff like that because she switched up. But after that, I leave. I contact the board at that point. Or no, I think I read the grievance policy. That's what happened. So I contacted the teacher via email, the way that the grievance policy stated. I did that. She ignored me. So I wrote every single board member, which I put in that slide as well, who was all white. Every single one of them ignored me, including the president, until 2 weeks later. I started getting random calls from Ryan Reeves. He got on my nerves because he literally is that type of person they sent thinking, oh, I think they think I'm younger than I am. And because the way he was talking to me, I had to check him too. He sat on the phone and was like, oh, well, why do you feel this way? Well, we never had complaints. What you talking? You got a complaint right now. You got a complaint right now. So what are we talking about? So I said, what are you on my phone for? Are you here to fix the issue or figure out what's going on? Are you on here to see if I'm gonna cuss you out so you guys can go back and say, oh, she cussed me out? They were trying to fish for something or, to see what I was gonna do.
Trying to trigger you.
Right. Try to trigger
Still
me.
not focusing on what the hell is going on. That's
exactly.
a shame.
So after that, Travis Miser, who is the president of the board of the school, he actually works for MGM Grand out here in Las Vegas. He eventually ended up calling me. I was out of town. And he tries to act all, nice at first. He was like, oh, how you doing? And fake, just being fake, but I could tell he was trying to haggle me. So what he was saying was, instead of trying to fix the issue, he kept saying, why don't you bring your daughter back to school? Because I told them until this issue's fixed, I'm not bringing her to the school. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all one more thing. So when I was trying to bring her back to school, but she said she's only comfortable if I'm sitting in the class. So per their policy of the school, a parent can sit in on the class. And I said, I only want to sit in on that class because of what the allegations were. They told me, oh, we have to ask the principal. I said, the grievance policy states A, B, and C on line this and line that. It stated that any parent can call and they will make an appointment the day you can come in or whatever. They changed the whole policy for me. First of all, that's discrimination. You should not be doing that. Whatever your policy is, that is the law of this school, and that is what you should be abiding by. Why is there special rules for me? I said, why you got to talk to the principal? Oh, we just got to talk to her because she told them if she calls or whatever. She's controlling, telling them everything, to do with me. And you can't have separate rules for one parent when you have a policy.
Right.
So I documented everything. I have numerous emails. It just goes on and on, but this is just a short version. But they didn't like the way I was very professional because I think it shocked them. It shocked them in all these emails, how I handled them. They didn't know what to do with them. So after that,
they already made their prejudgments about you and how you were going to handle it.
And it's the fact that she actually read the policy.
Yeah,
exactly. And I knew it line for line. I said on page this, line this. I lined everything up. I lined up times. When I left, when they told me that from the school that I couldn't go sit in, I sent an email stated on this day I was told this.
Yeah.
At this time by so and so, when your policy states this. So I get an email back where they basically just start being disrespectful, disregarding everything I'm saying, the policy. Oh, well, things were elevated, so we're accepting a virtual meeting with you, but we don't want to see you in person because things were elevated. I said, well, you don't have a choice. Well, maybe this shouldn't be your job if you're scared or you don't know how to face the person you've been lying on. I said, you're going to meet with me in person or you're going to get a lawsuit. I said, because there is nothing that I did. I am not a criminal. I didn't do anything wrong. You did not trespass me from the property. You did not call the police. You didn't do any of that. So now all of a sudden things were elevated. I said, if they were elevated, it was on your end. I said, so you either going to meet up with me in person. I'm not doing no virtual meeting. I said, my daughter doesn't go to virtual school, does she? She goes in person. So you will see me in person because you're going to see my daughter in person. That's what you're going to do. I said, or she will not be back in your presence.
So my question, I have a question real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you allowed to talk about what exactly happened? Like what was going on?
Because right now I don't have a lawyer. I'm looking for one because there's a lot of lawyers in Vegas. You know how that goes. They're scared to go against the schools here. I need somebody who is not scared to go against the school if they are outside of the state. So as of now, I don't have the representation, but I am looking for one. So any lawyers, if you hear this, that's what I'm looking for. Somebody who is not scared of any of their tactics or anything because they're not even doing nothing. They're not scary. They don't know what they're doing. I have so much evidence on them. There's other parents when I saw the Google reviews who were making statements, but in the Google reviews, they would just take their kid out of the school and they wouldn't go any further. Like if they get ignored, they would write like, oh, I just took my kid out. They just didn't have the energy to do what I'm doing. So I feel like me doing this would help other parents. Maybe the people in the past will come out, and tell their story that it's not just me.
And for the future.
Right. Right. Because if a parent basically complains, it shouldn't be an attack on their character. It shouldn't be an attack on how they look, or y'all gossiping or bringing up other situations that have nothing to do with it.
Whatever you do has nothing to do with what is going on in the school with your kid. It's about your kid.
Right.
100%.
And so I felt like as well, the principal was upset that I questioned her. She felt, I guess, that I didn't have a right to question her. I told her I have a right to question you when it has to do with my daughter. That is what you're here for. And by the way, I said, your school is ran by tax dollars. We are paying for this. I said, so at the end of the day, I said, I can question you about anything that I want to question you. I said, you ain't the boss. I said, there is a board above you. You do not own the school. I said, and you are to go by policy. So you're mad because I'm checking you on how you are out of line.
Yeah,
and she didn't like that, you know, but I didn't care. So going on to the story. So when Travis called me, Travis Miser, he ended up, trying to do his little slick talk. He one of those. He was trying to, oh, well, can we just get your daughter to the school and think about the stuff later, handle that later? I said, it's been 2 weeks. We're not handling, or it's been a week and a half. I'm not handling anything later. We can handle it now. She won't be back in school. I said, is that why you called me? I said, it seems like you're disregarding all of the issues with my daughter and you really don't even care. So he was like, oh no, well, just talking all fast. I could tell he just, how you could tell, like, he don't really care. They want that money for that student that's missing school. That's what they want. And I refuse to bring her back because she's not comfortable and they're not trying to fix it or make it comfortable for her, because they basically said I couldn't sit in her class and said because things were elevated. So once that happened, that's when I said, oh, well, she won't be back to school then. You're not gonna bully me and my daughter like we gonna do what you say. That won't never happen. Then she just not gonna go.
Yeah.
But then I asked for her homework. And all this is in email, by the way. I asked for her homework. They refused. They tried to play games and say, well, we don't do virtual schooling. That's not what I asked you. I asked you for her homework. Yeah, so they're playing games in the emails. So basically, I said, you guys are refusing to give her homework. My daughter went in with all A's and maybe 1 C. She came out of that school in 2 weeks with all F's. That's another thing, retaliation of discrimination. They discriminated against us. They took her to all F's. How she go to all F's when she was only there a week doing work? She missed 1 week and a half, or like a week and a half of it. Y'all playing games with my daughter. You playing games. So when Travis called, he basically was trying to finagle me. I ended up letting him know, I'm not comfortable with that. My daughter's not comfortable with that. I said, I just really feel like you guys are disregarding everything that I say about my daughter. You're ignoring it and trying to just get her into school. I don't appreciate that. I said, I feel like you guys do not care about the kids. Once I said that, he starts screaming on the phone, saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Screaming, right?
He was elevated.
Let my black self do that. The phone call, they would have used that, right? So that's why we're gonna use that, because then I lined them up in the email after this altercation, and I said, oh, and then he goes, while he's yelling, and you know what? Shannon was right about you, and that's why nothing is gonna change. And I was so calm, and I said, and you'll get sued.
Well,
that's fine. And then he hangs up. But and that's the stuff I don't like. They feel like they could be very disrespectful, but when we do it, it's a problem. All these other things. She's so aggressive. She's just that, but you're not aggressive. Then I lined them up in the email after that, and I said, it boggles my mind, using their language. It boggles my mind that you guys, let's say I was elevated, which I wasn't, but let's just say I was. I said, isn't there an allegation on that teacher who yelled at my daughter, which is mental abuse? I said, so why is she still working there? But I was removed. But I was removed for my daughter's education. I said, second, you have a board member who called me yelling and screaming like a psycho. Why is he not removed? But your argument is things were elevated. Well, he was screaming. You have a teacher who was mentally abusing my daughter, screaming at my daughter, but they're not removed, but I'm removed. That's discrimination. Then you didn't follow policy. That's discrimination. Like, you're only doing it with me because you don't want to go through your job, because I guess you didn't like that I was questioning you. I don't care what you like. And like I told him, I don't care what Shannon told you. I don't. I could care less what she told you. As far as I'm concerned, what y'all got going on? While he over here defending her, you wasn't there. And then Shannon was emailing saying, oh, yeah, the board sided with me because of the footage. I said, well, go on and send that footage to me, because last time I checked, the school footage don't even have no sound. I said, so what footage did they agree with? And I would like all the board members to meet with me in person with you. I would like a state authority who takes the tax dollars to be there as well. And they were like, oh, well, we'll get back to you. The Ryan Reeves guy said he'll get back to me with that. I said I would like the footage to be played. I would like a board member. I would like all the board members there since they agreed. And I would like to know why they agreed. I would like the footage played on how you took something with no volume. And she's saying that this is what Shannon said. She said A, B, and C. So tell me how you took a video with no volume and agreed with her that I was elevated when there's no volume. Make a long story short, Ryan Reeves never called me back. He said he was going to figure it out. Never called me back, of course, because they didn't want to do that. It was like, and I straight up told everyone I knew just privately, I said, the reason I'm not taking a virtual meeting, because the moment I take that, they could twist that and say because she knew she was out of line. She was the one in the wrong. I'm not taking a virtual meeting. There is no cause for me being in a virtual meeting. I have never been arrested. I am not a criminal. And at the end of the day, you have no substance behind that.
Yeah.
Nothing to prove. So no, I'm not doing that because you just feel like it, because you mad, you got checked. That's what it was. You're mad, you got checked, and you couldn't back any of your facts up with any proper facts. You have to lie on me, because whatever y'all looking at online, I don't care what you look at. I don't care what you look at. You're not going to play my daughter. You're not going to play me. End of story. Nobody cussed you out. I have all this in email. No one cussed you out. None of that. For you to say elevated, who cares? If that's how you feel, that's your opinion. But at the end of the day, you were elevated as well. That's why I wanted that footage to be played.
Well, who's not going to be elevated when you're trying to talk about your kid and take the proper routes and not even being acknowledged or not even being heard on that? You know, I mean, you probably had more of a stern voice because you're trying to get.
Well, at first I didn't, because the issue wasn't with her. Remember, I told you how I was like, "Oh, hi."
Yeah.
That's why I wanted them to play that footage, because that would have also proved she's a liar. Do you get what I mean? Like, no one came at you attacking you. Nobody did that. You elevated your voice, and you got met with the same energy.
Right.
Because you thought you were talking to a child up in this school, and that's another thing. It shows me how they abuse their power, and who knows what else they're doing to us.
All that is.
You know what I'm saying? So, make a long story short, after that, and we hung up with Travis. I was out of town. I get back. Ryan never calls me, none of that. We're emailing back and forth. I basically told them they refused to do the meeting. So at that point, I just pulled my daughter out completely. She's not going to attend a school where she's uncomfortable and I'm uncomfortable, because I don't know what y'all doing.
Yeah.
Right.
For the teacher to ignore my email, and this is per your grievance policy of what it states she's supposed to do, is meet with me. And for her to lie, basically, or it's a form of lying, to go to open house, the teacher tell you everything's fine, but you're doing some weird stuff on the back end because and that you're not addressing. So what's really going on? What are you really doing?
Right. The incident should be documented.
Exactly.
You know, your daughter's name. This happened today. She ran out of the room crying, or it caused her to cry. That should have been documented from day one.
Or because what I was expecting was a school, we have a meeting. This is what they supposed to do. Have a meeting. The teacher expressed, well, she was late to class or whatever the issue was. I just wanted to know what happened, the story, all of that. I got nothing to this day, because there is nothing. My daughter was just abused mentally by this teacher. None of them cared. This lady still was working at that school afterwards. They never removed her. They never moved Travis. All the board members ignored my emails. I was told to contact 2 of these Black organizations, but they didn't do nothing. I sent them all the proof. They were like giving me whatever I wanted to hear. They were supposed to help me, didn't. That's why I didn't do a YouTube video immediately. And something told me just record it, and I should have. But I did it later. But anywho, after that, I just said, you know what? At that point, I was busy with a lot of things. I felt irritated with the situation. And it just sat on my mind for a long time. And then I decided, you know what? No, you need to say something, because they thought they got away with some stuff.
Right.
They thought they got away with some stuff. It's not cool to do that. If a person of color does certain things that they do, it's a whole nother problem. It's another problem that the board members are ignoring my emails. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, when I contacted the state, that was the last step. I contacted the state, let them know. They acted like they were on my side. They were saying one thing they should never do is ignore your emails. They should at least respond. So once they got a hold of them, whatever they told them, they switched as well. Wow. I recorded that conversation where she came back and was like, it seems like it's an issue with you and the school, not with your child. I told her, stop playing on my phone. It's an issue with my child. That's what it's been from the gate. So now it's, the mom, whatever they told her. They're liars. They're discriminatory. And as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, they're racist. Period. You don't have one person of color, not an Asian, nobody, not even a minority. You don't have nobody on there. They're all white. You all ignored me. I went to a board meeting to expose them. They're all just sitting there staring, looking dumb, not saying nothing, didn't care to apologize about what happened with my daughter. Not one person has apologized. The teacher hasn't had repercussions. They don't care. Simply. They don't care. But if it was their child, if it's a white child, they'll take it very seriously. So I felt like they thought, oh, we're going to bully her. She looks young, whatever. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And not with my child, because at the end of the day, I don't like the, what is it called? Double standard. He can talk crazy to you and it's all good, but let you come in a place where we don't even like your energy. So we're going to cut you off. And like when the guy, Travis Miser, he tried to use that. Oh, Shannon was right about you. So we're not going to do anything. First of all, it's not your opinion if you like me or not. And you're not going to use that in a way to say we're not meeting up in person. So he tried to twist that up. No, that's not how that goes. And if y'all don't have, the balls to face a parent, you don't need to be in this position. That's not the job for you. Why are you working?
Because all the kids is just a check to them. That's
exactly. They are. And Travis is using that as political reasons. He works for MGM. We know how that goes. You're over there bragging, probably saying, oh, I'm the president of the board of Somerset Academy Aliante in Las Vegas. And, I love these kids. He don't love these kids. He don't love none of these kids. And that's why he got mad, because I checked him and told him on the phone to him, you don't care nothing about these kids. Because if you did, you wouldn't be telling me to bring my daughter to an abusive environment when I clearly stated she's not comfortable. I'm not comfortable. When we meet up with all of the individuals and I feel comfortable and my daughter feels comfortable, then we can move forward. You guys refuse to do that. I'm not throwing her in nothing like that. Nothing like that. Because now I'm even more red flag, because now I'm feeling like if I did do that, I wouldn't feel like a good parent. And on top of that, how I know you're not going to keep doing stuff. And then when I really do explode, I'm going to be in jail.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not going to play with my daughter. You're not going to play with me. You're not going to play with her feelings. And I give it up to the black teacher. I have his name in my phone because I need to give it up to him. He was real cool. And he was really concerned. And, some
people, one who spoke up. He spoke up and said something.
Yeah, he said something, and I would have never known. I would have never known. I have his picture in here too. Look, I got all of them in my phone. Here he goes.
Yeah, receipts, y'all.
Mama Bootz ain't playing.
His name is Sean Demery. So Sean Demery was the only African American teacher my daughter had, who brought it to my attention how he was very concerned with the treatment from the last class, which is Michelle Martin's. And that's how that happened. I have been sitting on this for a while because it really bothers my spirit. And I'm not even going to lie, with being on TV, sometimes it made me feel like if I come out, it's going to, people are going to say this. And I had to get to a point where stop worrying about what people are going to say.
Yeah.
But it bothers me a lot that people want to say, oh, that show's old, this and that. It's almost 20 years later, but a situation like this, I guarantee you they will say, she was cussing people out on that show. So she was at the school. Woo, woo. So there was a lot of things I was battling in my head with coming out. And then until I got to the place where I was like, I don't even care. This is my truth and the truth of what actually happened.
Yeah.
And I'm going to state it. And, I know God will bring people out that have been through the same thing. Then these people won't have nothing to talk about.
Right. Good for you. Real.
Yeah. That's amazing. But it's sad that it happened, but it's amazing that you spoke out.
And you know what?
One more thing, because this is another thing I forgot. The Macadon lady. I forgot her freaking first name.
With the name like the last name like that.
Yeah, she was the board authority, so she was above Travis, and they have another board that's supposed to be the charter school board authority. She was the president at the time. She calls me when I sent her an email. She ignored it, never responded. So I felt like when she did call, she only called, just to write down I called, but she didn't care. She had such a monotone, nonchalant attitude. She was like, I said, well, what are you calling for? Because I didn't said the story on numerous occasions and nobody did anything. She was like, oh, can you just explain what happened? So I kind of stopped myself and said, just explain. They'll keep saying, so I explain. In the middle of me explaining it, she cuts me off and goes, well, Mom, this is exactly what she said. Well, Mom, if all of this is going on, why would you want your daughter to be at a school like that? Why is that the first thing out of your mouth when you're supposed to be the board authority? Do you see what I'm saying? The games that they play.
About the wrong stuff.
Why would I want and you know what I told her? I said, you didn't read my email? She goes, oh, it was pretty lengthy. Oh, so you felt like it ain't worth reading. Because if you read the email, that's what she said. If you read the email, I said, my daughter doesn't go to that school anymore. I pulled her out yesterday. Oh, I didn't know that. I said, you didn't know that because you didn't care to read the email. I said, so don't call my phone anymore. There was no point in me explaining anything. There was no, what are you calling me for? Mm-hmm. So we got off the phone. So that was very disturbing as well with the Macadon lady, and why I mentioned her, because you're supposed to be the board authority and be the authoritative representative for if the board is acting, out of their line or whatever you want to say. Y'all know what I'm saying. Out of pocket, whatever. Out of protocol. So for her to make that statement, let me know. They all was talking. This black lady, she's saying this. Whoa. That's how I feel. And because I don't know this lady. I emailed you. You didn't even respond. Then you call me. Where you get my number from if you didn't read my email? And why are you calling me if you're not doing your research and reading the email? Because you want to document that you called me and make up some story like I'm dumb. Mm-hmm. That's what she wanted to do. Well, I called her on this day. And no, you called me on this day and got slick at your mouth and didn't do your job.
Yeah.
Who says that? And that's the worry I have for this school and the kids at this school is for the board authority to say something like that. Like you trying to put it in trouble for it. Yeah, like, oh, well, let me ask you why your daughter's there. I said she's not there. I pulled her out yesterday. Maybe you should have got the email.
We one step ahead.
Yeah, and like I told you guys, this all happened within 2 weeks.
Exactly.
And for them to get my daughter F's, for them to get my daughter F's, and everybody said there's nothing they could do, that's a problem. Yeah. So I don't know who else, and ain't nobody getting F's. I don't care if you don't do no work for 2 weeks. You don't go from A's to F's. Nah. You don't do, and I know 2 weeks.
There's no dramatic drop like that ever.
No, they did that on purpose.
I can see it getting to a C. I can see a C.
Exactly. You're doing that on purpose.
And well, the main thing is they didn't offer to let her get her homework.
Well, remember I asked and they refused.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They didn't let her. So like you setting her up for failure. Like what?
Exactly.
Why is the child not important here? Like that's what I'm not understanding.
Because they wanted this black mom to be deemed uncontrollable. She ain't doing what we want, so we gonna say she wrong. Let's all link up and make her look crazy. Look, we Googled her. I know they Googled me. I know that just their whole demeanor.
Fact,
they were
100%.
Yeah, they were too comfortable with the way that they handled me, and they were too.
They already had an opinion about you that led them to act a certain way towards you or treat you a certain way. It seems like
try to trigger her to get her kid thrown out of the school.
Yeah.
Well, what I really think is they kept pressing for my child to be in there. Once she wasn't at school, I really think they wanted to do more stuff to make me mad to my daughter. I think they wanted her to stay there to get me to do something. That's what I felt in my spirit because they kept pressing, forget all that. The teacher yelled at her, told her to go back to class, but you can't monitor the class. Why can't I monitor the class when that's the policy? That's the policy. It says any parent. You have no backing to say I can't go into the class of my daughter. There's no police report. There's no trespassing incidents. None of that. So what's your problem? So they tried to make it look like, oh, we're gonna make her look like she's just so aggressive. and we don't trust her around. How I felt was basically they saying we don't trust you around other kids. But I don't trust y'all around my kid.
Yep.
So
Profile,
basically.
You know,
yeah, she
you
said
know
the lady slammed the door in her face and everything.
You know what's crazy, Larissa? I feel what's crazy is I feel like you have no idea like what's going on with me right now. So like today, well actually it's been 2 weeks coincidentally, and you're bringing this up. My son is having an issue with the school at teacher at school, and he's in 6th grade. And 2 weeks ago, I went to the school because he told me what had happened is he was like they were all making jokes in the class, and something smelled, and he was like, man, something smells. And the teacher was like, oh, you stink, right? And I was like, so I had to like ask him like, wait, well, like, was she like joking, or like he's like, well, mom, it really doesn't matter. Why would she say that I stink? And I was like, true, very true. So, but he had already told me that she was like singling him out. He felt singled out. Like that's how he felt. So when he told me that, I went to the school the next day, and I, asked to speak to the principal or the assistant principal. Oh, of course, they're in meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Take your name and number. All right. Took the name and number. Boom. Did that. I waited the whole day, no phone call. Waited the whole, like half of the next day, no phone call. So I called again. Nothing. So I emailed. Nothing. Nothing. So then Friday comes, and my son emailed himself, the principal, still hasn't gotten a response, right? So this is not this Friday, but the Friday before. So come Monday, I go in again to ask to speak with the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, principal is in meetings, of course. All right. I sit down, but I mean, I got to go to work. So I sit down, still nothing. So, that's this month, or no, so it was like a week ago. So that's this Monday, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tripping, sorry. So, he tells me today that he got 0.5 taken off of one of his little quizzes for not showing the subtraction on his quiz, but he got the answer right. So when he got the paper, he like saw it and she put like nope. Okay, yeah, nope. Show subtraction. And so he was like, so I went and like told my friend, like, can't believe I got 0.5 taken off for not showing subtraction, even though it's simple mental math, And I was like, so did she tell you before the test you guys had to show work? Like, is that anywhere on the paper? Doesn't say anywhere on the paper. He didn't say, she didn't say it. So he's like, why am I getting 0.5 taken off? He likes to get A's, he aims to get good grades and get, 100 on everything, things like that. So for him, it was a big deal on top of what she's already been doing, making him feel singled out, making him go out into the hallway, prior to the you stink incident, because he's laughing, like just constant stuff. Mind you, my son has never had issues in any of his schools with any of his teachers ever. He's actually like an esteemed student, right? Mm-hmm. And he was part of the president's club last year. Like he's a good student, and he don't disrespect or do nothing like that. So what's the issue? So I'm glad that you brought that up, because now I'm like, all right, I need to do something, because I planned on going tomorrow. I already told my employer, like, hey, I might be late, but I got something to do, because what you're not going to do is single my son out. And so when he said that to his friend about the test, she was like, you can leave the room. Then she made him leave the room it's like a block class, so they have like 2 periods with each teacher, and she made him be out the whole one class and half of the second block, and then he had to do something like a homework, or they had something to do, and he didn't know what he was doing because he missed most of the class, and she got on him for that. So now I'm like, all right. And he told me that there's a couple other students she does it to. I told him to write down those students, write down any students that's seeing what's going on, because I'm about to go in there and be like, yo, what's going on with this teacher? You guys aren't emailing me back. Nobody's called me back. You know, my son feels singled out and it's not okay. So it's just, I think it's ironic that you brought that up because I'm going through that myself, right? Like right now, real life.
And that's funny you said that, because I was gonna say, it made me think about when this happened at first with my daughter. I was asking her, would she feel comfortable with another teacher? And they gonna tell me there is no other math teacher. So it just seemed like, all these dead ends, and then that's why I say I think they had something. Who knows what they're doing with the other kids? Because you don't want the parent to be in the meeting. That's what schools do. Then you want my daughter to only talk with you. They're bullies. That's what they are. And they know they can't bully me. So let's remove the mom. You ain't removing me. You are not removing me, because now I'm feeling like you doing something behind the scenes that you don't want nobody to know about.
Yeah.
Because why not divulge 100% of the information and say, oh, well, she may have felt like I raised my voice, but I told her to do A, B, and C. There should be a story behind what's going on. Nobody wanted to tell me anything because they knew they were wrong. And for everybody to back all of this, all the way to the state that is taking tax dollars from the parents, I have a big issue with that. And I told them, they need to be defunded. They had the nerve. The state told me, after speaking with the board and not telling me what they said, whatever they said to them, they were like, well, unless they break the law, we can't do that. I said, that's a lie. I said, they did break the law. That's the law of the school. Well, I mean, the law, like selling drugs to kids or something. So they were playing games, on the phone. I actually have that. I recorded her. So
as you
those
should.
are what you guys told me, is there stuff I can't talk about. There's certain things that I'm not posting, that they're not privy, that I even have. I had a conversation with Ryan Reeves.
Right.
They don't know what I have.
Right. You're not going to show all your cards.
Right. I had Travis Miser. I had somebody in the room with me when I was out of town listening to the conversation. So if he wants to lie, we got witnesses of that. So it's like they have no clue. I have all the emails that are backing dates and times of exactly when I was called, what was said, emails to the state, me complaining on him when he called me. The moment he called me, I was writing the lady there. And then all of a sudden, they didn't know who the lady I was talking to the state was, and all this funny stuff going on. So one thing about me, I don't fear this school, anyone, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I think most of all, it took me a while because I felt like I need to strategize this to make sure it's just aimed appropriately. You know what I mean? And accurately, because they're going to try to scheme and lie, do whatever they can. So I think, and it did bother me, with social media and the way people are these days. They try to take things that have nothing to do with the situation and apply it to every situation.
Right.
They're gonna use all different type of words.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Look, first and foremost, I feel like I'm your best friend. I just sat here and witnessed your whole situation. I feel like I was right there with you. It's very unfortunate that had to happen, but I also appreciate you venting that. You had to get that off. You know what I'm saying? Because it's bothering you. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you. Using our space to let that out and and give that energy out. I was about to go grab some more popcorn and just kick back. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, damn. You know what I'm saying? But the system is messed up though, for real. You know what I'm saying?
It definitely is.
Yeah.
And they definitely love to prejudge.
Part about this. The part about this is they were saying, well, it's not the school district. So it's not even the school district because they're a charter school. So that's why it was only the board and to the state. and the Port Authority. So that was another thing. Like they were like, well, it's not a regular school; it's a charter school. So the system part of with that. But I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, the way they handle each system and each whether it's charter or regular school, they just do things based on their own
agenda.
benefits, yeah, agendas. They don't care about these kids. Like you said, it's all about the money. For this man to yell like that on the phone, if I was a black man, I don't think he would have done that.
No, not at all.
He
Not at
tried to
all.
bully
Not at
me.
all.
He tried to do all of that.
Not at all.
And I feel like that was
Yep.
his way of like,
Yep.
oh well, let me try to tell her, and Shannon was right. How you know Shannon was right? You don't even know. You wasn't even there. You don't even know what you're talking about. And I said, I don't care what Shannon told you.
Right.
Y'all scared to meet up with me. It's all of y'all, and y'all scared up to meet up with me.
Facts.
But you talking mess on the phone.
Yeah.
With one person.
Because they Googled you.
If they didn't elevate their mind and their faith, it would have been
I think
you would have
too
been
it's because
situated.
I'm black. Because let me have been white. I even seen it on the news. Was it last
Yep.
year when they forced the daughter to the other parent? She wasn't black, but they forced the daughter to think she was gay or something. Did y'all see that? And she was yelling, as she should, because she was upset. It seems like they're trying to take that and make it look like I did that, but saying I was elevated and removed me. You see what I mean? But if I was of another race, like you said, even if I was yelling, I wasn't. But let's say I was, I have a right to.
Right.
Nobody did. And then the way I can prove that is the questions that they're going to be asked is, well, if she was so loud and disorderly, why didn't you trespass?
Have
All
it
they gotta do
removed.
is go on their desk and
Right.
give you a paper and say you're trespass. People misuse that too. She couldn't do that because she knew I could sue her. You knew that was a lie. You knew you were being recorded, and you knew that wasn't what was happening.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, there's so much evidence against them. They can say whatever they want to say. I don't feel like this would be a hard case. It's just finding the right lawyer that is not phased by the charter school system.
Yeah.
In the back.
Yeah. And you're definitely right about that whole finding one out of the state thing, because that's how they're all connected. Like when they're in the same state, same county, they all know each other, hang around the same people, and it's all biased. So you definitely got to find somebody outside so that they're not interlinked with those people.
Right.
Very smart move.
Take it away, Josh.
Yes. So Larissa, I have a question for you really quick. So I know we're talking about lawyers and things like that and looking out of state. Correct me if I'm wrong. You are from LA. Am I correct when I say that?
Yes, I go back and forth from LA and Las Vegas.
Okay.
But I am from LA.
Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect. Would you think about looking in that area to try to find a lawyer, maybe, or what's your thoughts on that? Like, I don't want to keep lingering on that. You know, I know you vented and everything.
I researched it, and only certain lawyers can move from state to state. So I have to find that lawyer who can practice in Nevada. So doing my research, that's the problem. You have to find somebody that's out of state that can actually practice here.
Has a multi-state license type thing.
Because all of them don't have that.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because there's different laws and stuff in different states.
Nah, that make a lot of sense.
Do it feel a little bit better to get that off your chest a little bit?
Makes sense.
It actually does, and I knew that it would.
Shoot,
but I think that I just didn't want to even. Sometimes I get in a place where I just shut down because I want it to be perfect, or I was just thinking too much. And at that point, I'm just like, I get tired of social media. I really don't say much unless I want to, but I get tired of how things are, how people think. They don't have no logic behind what they say. So sometimes I feel like it goes behind deaf ears. People just, even if you could tell the truth, they could see it on camera and they'll make up anything they want to make up out of that situation. So I got in a place where I just hated it. I just hated telling my real business on social media because I felt like people were not going to receive it. And I felt like this was sacred to me because it had to do with my child.
Right.
So
absolutely. Well, like once again, I do appreciate you giving your space. Like for this, that's a lot. It takes a lot to get that off. And another thing I could say on that, while you going through things like that, is why you elevate your mind and your faith, because things can get tight and things can get rough, but you stay composed. Because if you would have took it a different route, it could have been a lot worse. So you was able to compose yourself. You elevated yourself. You elevated your mind and your
Yeah.
faith, and and went through the process of handling it the right way. So kudos to you though, for real, for real. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
You
you.
still strong for going through something like that. It takes a lot, and a lot of people will give up in that situation. So yeah, shout out
Yeah.
to you for real about that.
That whole shutting down. She definitely a water sign.
Mm-hmm.
I
She's
agree.
I
definitely a
agree.
water
I'm a
sign.
Scorpio, so there's no middle to me. If I
A
like you, I
Hey,
water
like you. If
sign.
I don't, I don't.
That is
So
hey,
so
I'm
Pisces.
like,
That's
true.
why we cool. That's why we cool like that. Pisces
Scorpio.
Nation.
The
Pisces
water
Nation
sign.
on.
Oh, we
We
over here.
water.
Hey, Josh, we are air signs. They're over there with the water. But very passionate people. Water signs are very passionate people.
Team Gemini, Team Gemini.
yeah, we don't like people getting over on us, like especially
Yeah.
with our
Right.
children.
But I do got one more question, and then I'm gonna toss it to my team. I'm gonna get out the way.